Welcome back to the Real, Relevant, and Righteous podcast. My name is Alexandria. Let's get into it. So, I hope you all had a good Christmas. And it's the end of the year. And after Christmas, the next big holiday is the New Year, 2023. So, around this time, people will be reflecting on the year 2022 and seeing what happened, what didn't happen. If you're on social media, you will see a lot of people posting um, what they accomplished, what they didn't accomplish, if 2022 was the worst year ever. It's like every year people will say that was the worst year ever. But it was a good year for me. But before we go into 2023, I wanted to talk about when you're reflecting on 2022 and like how should you look at 2023. So today I'm going to be talking to you from 2 Kings 13 verse 18. That is my focus verse, but I'm going to read from verses 14 to 18. Now when Elisha had fallen sick with the illness of which he was to die, Joash, king of Israel, went down to him and wept before him, crying, my father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen. And Elisha said to him, take a bow and arrows. So he took a bow and arrows. Then he said to the king of Israel, draw the bow, and he drew it. And Elisha laid his hands on the king's hands, and he said, open the window eastward. And he opened it. Then Elisha said, shoot, and he shot. And he said, the Lord's arrow of victory, the arrow of victory over Syria. For you shall fight the Syrians in Aphek until you have made an end of them. And he said, take the arrows. And he took them, and he said to the king of Israel, strike the ground with them. And he struck 3 times and stopped. I'm going to also read verse 19. Then the man of God was angry with him and said, you should have struck 5 or 6 times, then you would have struck down Syria until you had made an end of it. But now you will strike down Syria only 3 times. Now, let's take a closer look at the story. So, in order to win this battle, we can look at what the king was given. What resources did he have, right? And Elisha is a well-known prophet. So the prophet is there, and let's see what else he had. If you look closer, you'll see that the king was given instructions, he was given tools, and he also knew the end. Like, he knew that they were going to have victory because the prophet said so, right? So those are the things he had: instruction, tools, and he already knew the outcome. So now the king was told to strike the ground, but this time the instructions were specific. The instructions didn't tell him how many times to strike. So he did it 3 times. Let's look at the definition of strike because I want to talk about that just a little bit. So the definition is to hit forcibly and deliberately. And I love the word deliberately right here because it means you're doing something with intention. It's not a mistake what you're doing. You know what you are doing. You know the reason why you are doing that. Now, the king only hit the ground 3 times, and Elisha, the prophet, was angry and told him he should have done more. So if you try to put yourself in the position, Elisha being angry, the king was probably like, well, you never told me. You never told me how many times to do it. You've been telling me everything up to that. You told me what tools to get. You told me where to shoot it out of. But you just never told me. I didn't know this, right? But I was thinking like how this is related to us a lot of times, that in 2022, let's for example, let's say in 2022, you were given the instruction, you were given the tools, you were given the word, like the prophecy, you were given the word, you know it's going to work in your favor because the word was spoken over your life. But you needed to put in the work. You tried once, no success. You tried two, it didn't work. And you sit there and you wonder if the prophecy or the word was correct because you haven't seen it yield yet. You haven't seen the fruition of those words. But you know I always come with a question. What if you kept striking? What if you kept striking? Would you see the fruit? Would you see with the instruction, tools, and prophecy or word that you were given? If you kept striking, would you have seen the results? What if you kept on striking? What if, because you know God's word cannot return to him void, that and that you are victorious in the end, you kept on going because it has to yield, it has to come to pass. So with you already knowing that you are victorious, why not keep going? Many of us, right? God equipped us, God gave us the instruction and left it up to us to do the work. But we dropped the ball or we got frustrated because it didn't work the few times we tried. But I just want to tell you, for the next year, keep striking. Remember that faith without works is dead. So you can be praying all you want. You can be praying all you want, but if you are not putting in the work, it won't come to pass. If you're not putting in the work, it won't yield. You won't see what you're praying for. So if you have the faith to do something, remember you have to work for that thing and keep being a striker. So we just ended World Cup 2022. I'm not going to talk about the winners, but I'm allowed this example only because it was just relevant, right? So in football, I'm not going to say soccer right now, don't come for me. In football, right? There is a position on the team, and that person is the striker. If you look more into that, or if you don't know what that is, or what the person's job is, the striker's job is to score or attain goals, right? In the game, the striker is not there to defend, but to score goals. So, you as a striker, if you keep on striking in 2023, and you become a striker, your job is not to defend what God told you. Your job is not to defend the word over your life. Your job is not to defend where you're going or the vision that God has given you. And to not defend if he's going to do it. Because he's not a man that he should lie. So if he said he's going to do something, it's going to happen. But your goal as a striker, right? Remember what I said earlier, what a striker is. Your goal as a striker is to get to work in order to attain those goals. You can't be on the field, right? And you know what your job is and you just stand there because the next team is going to score on you, right? So work to attain those goals, and you don't stop until the very end. There's 90 minutes, or sometimes it goes into overtime or penalties or whatever when you look at football. And you can't just stop. You have to play out the whole time. So don't stop until you attain the goals and when the word has come to pass. You have to keep working at that. So to wrap up the last video of 2022, just remember, keep striking, and remember that strike is to hit forcibly and deliberately. So keep striking deliberately, keep working towards the vision, the goals that God has given you, and you will see it come to pass. So I hope that you have a good new year and that 2023 will be your best year yet. So until next time, until next year, let's keep it real, keep it relevant, and keep it righteous.